Welcome back, everyone, to OpenLine. We are talking about how would a guaranteed basic income work? How would it work if it were instituted here in Nashville? How would it work if it were instituted nationally? We have three people with us, all from the Nashville Economic Justice Alliance: Kenneth Craine, Elois Freeman, Robert Guth. And they're taking your calls. And we have on the line here, we have Leonardo, who has waited patiently. Leonardo, thank you.
Hey, hello. Thank you for being so patient.
Well, yeah, you are. All right, what's on your mind?
Okay, so on my mind is Nashville, of course, and this basic income question. The only epitome that I hold up in front of it is political and the word we. Where over we, I'm going to use the word up because I have to protect my significance. But, you know, units for vessels and putting a vest on a buyer, you know, I don't think that Nashville offers up enough of what is, I would say, units, or what is called like RAUGHT, W-R-A-U-G-H-T. This is a city that is over and over again on the up. But I don't think, and like I said, I took notes to protect myself, I don't think that we are past radical time. The over will always be like myself. I am upon a certain economic persons, but if we still say politics are the we, then what is the up in Nashville? If
what is the upside of this?
This is the up. Yeah. This is the upness of it. And then you look at the law, and he says national. He says here. So we think about service. That's all I get.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, most definitely the service that is happening here is the basic need of Nashville. So if you give it basic income, what is our RAUGHT upscale? I guess that's the word I would use. I'm protecting myself too.
That's okay. That's all right. What is the upside? All right. I think we've been talking about that. What is the upside? Affordable housing is a big problem here. Just okay. Go over. I'll just throw that out. Robert, walk us through again the upside here.
So I want to go back to a word that Leonardo used, and that's service. I think one of the really underappreciated and talked about benefits of a basic income is it frees up more people for service. And we talked about earlier, are there any examples of basic income when people stop working, or would it? Well, there are a lot of us who actually do live on a basic income. At this very moment through this pandemic, I've been on the basic income of my wife's support. My wife is a physician, and it's freed me up personally to do a lot more work in causes I care about. And I don't personally feel like it has caused me to work any less. Honestly, I feel like I'm working more. And there are a lot of Americans and Nashvillians who can relate to that, who go to work during the work week, but then come home to a family, a community, a church group, or another larger extended community or family group that they give a lot of service to. And we don't really have a good way in America right now to compensate people for this really valuable work. We don't even have a good way to accommodate the fact that parents themselves contribute a lot to their households through their work as parents. It's wonderful work. It's important work. It doesn't really pay. And a basic income frees up families and individuals and communities to find that division of labor within themselves that really works best. And so one big advantage you see is that sort of flexible mobility. And it's like what Kenneth and Elois talked about with the outcomes in places where we studied this before. It's hard to predict, if I give cash to this family, what is this family going to do with it? On the front end, I don't really know, but on the back end, when we look at it, families find all sorts of great and creative ways to elevate themselves in the community. In one family, it might enable someone to go to school to get the career they always wanted. In another family, it might give them the ability to start a job where they can be their own boss with the skills they've earned over many years. It's very hard to spell it out. And actually, a really good place people can go is there's an organization called Give Directly, and it is a nonprofit that has been giving cash directly to combat poverty and as disaster relief funds for a while. And they study this heavily, and they say it best. They've combed through hundreds and hundreds of articles studying the impact of cash, and it's extremely hard to put your finger on what the benefits are because they are just so diffuse. If we do a housing program in Nashville, we're putting all our attention into just this one component of the economic conditions of our city, and we can maybe nudge the needle on housing, but we can't. It feels like you're putting your finger in the dam, and there's more holes are going to burst open. We're not sure where it's going to be, but cash, it's fungible. It can go where it needs to go,
and that's why I question. Okay, that means money maybe doesn't need to go to affordable housing. There is some money that you take away from big government programs, I guess, and put it just toward people. Do you feel like there is that opportunity? That might make some people feel more comfortable with this idea. And I know you want some safety nets to remain in place, but maybe instead of putting money through some big organization, you're giving it directly to people. Is that what you're saying? Elois, what about that?
That is not what we're saying, but that is an option. That is part of some conversation. That actually, I believe, is what Andrew Yang was proposing initially. Even though he shifted in his position. Along the way, we may want to propose that. The key of what we're finding now is, and the reason I wouldn't want to do it initially, it sounds like what you're saying, if people are getting some other support, let's say, I don't know, some disability, it sounds like that's what you're saying. So that's not what we're saying. Because people need the support. What we find, though, is that for the pilots that have existed, that is happening. People, in other words, when you make if you get other kinds of, support, if you get additional cash, then you get less in your support. You see what I'm saying? So right. In other words, for the pilots, if people got $500, if they're getting some other kind of support, they are actually losing some of their additional support. We really don't even want that. And people are trying to adjust that. Here's the bottom line. We want to help people build this floor and not have people to have their money minimized. I do know the Chicago pilot that I'm hearing about is talking about it from another way. For example, instead of putting money into prisons, they're saying take that money and use it for a guaranteed basic income. Now that part I like. Okay.
All right, we'll take a break, and Kenneth will come back and talk to you. We have to take a break. Be back right after this.